You're listening to the Voice of Your Brand podcast. In today's episode, we're talking about vocal disconnect, the gap between your message and your audience's perception. That's coming up next.
Ready to go behind the scenes and learn what it really takes to stand out as the voice of your brand? I'm Katherine Beck, voice actor and voice coach. And after 20 years of being the voice of other brands, I'm here to show you how your voice is your most powerful tool to creating the impact, influence, and income you desire. The world is your global stage, so get ready to up-level your voice and your personal brand. This is the Voice of Your Brand podcast.
Before we jump into today's episode, I want to let you know that I am going to be hosting a free training on how to use your voice to sell with ease and sound like the authority that you are. And this is for you if you are ready to uncover what we're going to be talking about today in this episode, which is that disconnect from your audience. You know what to say, but it's not quite landing. It's not connecting with your audience. And now is the time we're going to uncover and reveal your true voice so you can sell with ease and become known as the authority and expert that you are. And to register for this free training, you're going to head over to katherinebeck.com/masterclass, and I'll see you there. All right, let's get into today's episode, which is about vocal disconnect and the gap between your message and your audience's perception. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see time and time again is people using logic to sell. And what I mean by logic is things like the facts, the figures, your words, your messaging. Let me ask you a question. If you're going to sell me something, and P.S., it doesn't matter who you are, we are selling all the time. So, for example, if you're an online business owner or a personal brand of any kind, you're selling all the time. But where most people get this wrong is that you think that you're selling your product, your program, or your service, your expertise, your talent, your knowledge. Nope. And that's where we go wrong. Nope. Because that's just surface level. That's just logic. What you've been doing is selling logic. But that is not what your listener wants from you. That's not what your audience wants from you, your potential customer, client. And that's because people don't buy from logic. They buy from people. They buy from connection and from emotion, a feeling that you give them and tells them that you are their person, the one that's going to help them solve their problem. So chances are, if you are a business owner or expert and you're listening to this show, you probably are very confident with your messaging. Maybe even 100% confident with your message. But where you may be lacking some confidence is in your ability to deliver the message. There's a disconnect from you to the other person. Maybe you can feel it. Maybe you can sense it. Maybe you can hear it. It comes out in the ums and the ahs and the filler words or the speaking too fast. Maybe it's a pushed energy because you want to sound enthusiastic to try and excite your audience about your product, program, service, offer. Or maybe it's a formality in your voice, trying to sound polished and professional. But you see, your audience picks up on these nuances. They pick up on the unsaid, the nonverbal, the missed notes that aren't landing and may even be annoying. They may hear great messaging. They may even show interest, but yet they don't buy. They don't buy because they're not quite sure about you. Are you their person? Are you their person? And that's the thing about being a personal brand. You are the person, the face, and the voice of your brand. So, maybe it takes a follow-up sales call or two before they decide to work with you. Maybe it takes 3 to 4 launches before they join your program. Or maybe they lose interest and find someone more interesting, authentic, and relatable, and work with them instead. You see, your audience is not fooled by fake authenticity. They are not fooled by a pushed energy. They're not fooled by false and unnatural authority. Your audience is smart. They pick up on those nonverbal elements, the sounds in your voice. And so now it's time to decide. Are you ready to change that? How do we change that? How do we shift sounds from inauthentic to authentic, from fake and forced to natural and relatable? How do you sound like your true self while also sounding like the expert that you are? Well, it starts with you. It starts with opening up the connection, that invisible connection. It's there. You may not be able to see it, but there is a connection between you and your audience. And when we open up that connection, that channel, we allow our audience in. So discovering what that is, that invisible wall that's protecting you and holding you back from showing up as your authentic self, specifically as your authentic self when speaking to a cold audience. Now, whether that's one person or thousands, because that's where it gets tricky, doesn't it? Something happens when you talk to people you don't know. You're good with people that you know, but when you're talking to somebody you don't know, maybe you freeze up. And especially when you layer in social media, the online environment, something happens when we pop a mobile phone, a cell phone in front of our face, and someone asks us to talk to camera. We suddenly go from natural to unnatural. It's like our personality changes, doesn't it? And it really shouldn't be this difficult. It shouldn't be difficult to talk about things like who you are and what you do and what you have to offer. But oftentimes, this amazing person that we are and this incredible messaging that you already have, that you spend hours upon hours and days upon days writing and then rewriting and then reworking some more, that becomes the star of the show. And we forget about the people. We forget that people buy from people. They buy from connection and they buy from emotion, not from logic, from emotion. So let that start to sink in. And let your true self start to shine when you say your amazing messaging. You see, it's actually really quite simple. It's just that we've made it really difficult for ourselves. And if you're ready to change all that and uncover your true voice, your authentic voice, join me for my free masterclass. It's starting at the end of this month. All you need to do is head over to katherinebeck.com/masterclass, and I'll see you there. And, if you're listening to this and you're like, I am ready to start right now, well, then I invite you to join my wait list. You're going to get early access to me and the program right away. Just head over to katherinebeck.com/LYV-waitlist. I'll pop all of that in the show notes for you. All right, that is it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I'll see you back here next time on the Voice of Your Brand podcast.